Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got another SK Modified Fixed Series race for you here. We are at Irwindale Speedway running the outer oval. It's the half-mile oval. Going to be going out for qualifying here. Managed to find myself in a single split that is really weak because I am actually car number one. It is not very often that I get into a race where I am car number one, so just must be the time slot when I'm running this, so no big deal though. We'll make the most of it. Try to go see if I can sit on the pole. Be able to make it a little bit of a easier race for myself. First lap's not going to be good, but just trying to get the tires warmed up and getting some sort of time in. Just picked up the throttle a little too early there, out of turn 4. Still not a bad first lap, and good enough for the pole, so second lap, it's not really going to matter too much, but we'll see if we can go any faster just for academic purposes for the race. It's definitely going to be a interesting race to say the least, with all the different lines everybody can take. I've seen some guys run like this top to middle in 1 and 2 and then go all the way to the bottom. I've been using all the way to the bottom on both ends. It's definitely going to be interesting based on wherever you try to run and the convergence of the lines coming out at both 2 and 4. That's going to create some interesting dynamics. It's only an 11 car field, so hopefully that can minimize some of that convergence. And with how weak it is, maybe there's a big enough speed difference that, some of the cars, like you can see, there's about 7/10 or so separating first through third, myself through the 2 and the 3 car, and then you've got Yates, another 10th and a half back, almost, 10th and a quarter. So hopefully with that little bit of split in speed, if that translates over to race pace, everybody will kind of get spread out a little bit, and you can just get a clean 40 laps in without too much. Just, I don't know. I would have preferred to be on the inner layout and had a little more in terms of off throttle time and using the brake. The only time I'm probably going to be tapping the brake is if I really need to get the car to rotate later on in the race, or if I'm trying to stay off of everybody. So it's just not as fun when you have to, run it wide open almost the whole time. And like I said, it's if you can get this car down, you've got momentum.
That's the end of the session.
Learned really well in terms of a driving style. You kind of have lack of caring about the tire wear because they don't wear out the tires at all. But you've got the momentum side down, which definitely would translate to some other series, like the C-Class trucks for sure. But yeah, we're just going to see what we can do, try to make the most of it, take advantage of the pole, and hopefully be able to just check out and have an easy race. Try to build back some I rating and safety rating. So we'll pull up session best lap.
40 laps. The track temp is 86.
That.
The air temp is 78.
Getting ready to
Fahrenheit.
roll off here. It's one of the last cars to grid in, so that's nice that we're going to get rolling off sooner. Pace car go. We'll get tires unchecked and fuel unchecked in case something does happen that I have to use the fast repair. Hopefully that's not the case. I'd like to just lead all 40 if I can, but we'll see what we can do. Not quite sure where I want to start yet. I haven't decided what's going to be the best spot. It's probably going to be somewhere around the middle of the corner to just get a run off the corner, but I think I might want to wait a little bit so that I don't push up into the 2 either. So we'll just see. Will we get in the green the next time by? Not really going to be thrilled with anything other than a win in this race if I can, with how weak of a field it is. I think there's even a fairly big I rating gap between the 2 and myself, so anything less than a win is going to feel like a bit of a disappointment. Unless it's, something that I can't control. But
okay, Jake, are you ready? Watch for the lights.
I'm just going to roll around, wait to get the field, get the green, and we'll take off now. Try to time that, get as best of a jump as I could. Didn't do anything wrong at all. Just kind of waited till I could get a little bit of a better gap, get a little loose off of turn number 2 with the cold tires, and the way that it come back onto the banking. Just got to keep the wheel a little bit straighter. But got a nice lead, half a second or so. Let's see if we can start to increase that as the race goes on. Oh, the 2 gets spun off the nose of the 3, so we'll have to check that out in the replay and see what happened.
That lap was a 17.55. The guy behind has just done a 17.66.
But we're working our way down.
You're now in the
This
lead.
could end up being a bit of an uneventful race, we'll see.
That's the fastest lap of the race. That was a 17.30.
Just trying to keep it as clean as I can, as smooth as I can, keep it off the wall. We've got a big league, so no reason to push too hard. Hit a little bit on the grass with the left side tire, didn't affect it too bad. The 3's about a second behind. See if we can keep pulling away from him.
The gap behind is now 1.18.
I got a little bit too tight there in the center of 3 and 4 and exited a little too late. Just probably need to lift off the throttle a little bit earlier. But just working around, you can see a big gap between the 3 and the 8, which, like I said, I kind of predicted some gaps because of the speed difference and the skill difference in this field with it being so weak and so small, but obviously the 2 getting spun off the 3 not help things. I picked the throttle a little too early there out of turn 2, had to lift to keep it off the wall. Yeah, I guess this is going to be somewhat of an easy drive.
Alright Jake, we're matching race pace.
Just trying to click these laps off as quick as I can, although I make just stupid mistake. Not being aware of my right side edge. Thankfully no instant points, but no reason to be doing that. We are still pulling away from the 3. Gap's up to 1.6 now.
The gap behind has increased to 1.63.
See if we can just keep increasing it. Try to turn as consistent a lap times as I can. Like I said, for me, I just never was able to figure out the high line through 1 and 2 the way that people were running it. Bottom line has just consistently been the fastest for me, so when it was working, I had no reason to go away from it. I could understand needing to learn it if I wanted to, you know, have an alternative line to get around people. Depending on what lap traffic does when we get to them, I may use it to try to see. I think that the bottom's the only way to go in 3. I don't think the top's viable at all. But like I said, I've seen some guys run up against the wall to enter, you know, down to halfway or so, turn 2, and then, you know, some people going that way. Thank you to the 10 for giving the room. Able to clear him with no problem.
That lap was a 17.60.
Got just under 2.5 second lead over the 3.
2.3.
Watching out for the 11 as he's going to be our next car to get around. It's kind of using that higher line through 1 and 2, so we'll just stick to the bottom line, able to clear him. Thank you to him for giving me so much room. Gap's almost 3 seconds now ahead of the 3. A little bit early on the throttle again. Car's starting to slowly tighten up as the right front heats up. Just a little bit tighter than what it was.
Your lap time was 17.47.
Differences in lap times are more or less from my inconsistencies in driving. I don't think the car should be falling off quite as bad, but I'm just real inconsistent with the throttle. Thankfully, it's a weak enough field that I can afford some of those inconsistencies and not worry about losing positions. Really drove that end really bad. You can see how much more time I lost that end. That time I get in the throttle too early, so just need to lift a little bit sooner, wait just a little bit longer before picking the throttle back up. Just approaching the halfway mark, so the tires are getting some heat into them, giving up a little bit of grip.
just done a 17.60.
Need to make that adjustment sooner than later. Gonna work to the inside of the 6.
Right side.
Wait a little bit longer to pick it up, so that way I don't get into them. Spotter said I was clear, but I didn't quite trust it, so I decided to wait a little bit longer to make sure I clear them. Rather give up some time and not get into them than end up taking my race out because I thought I was clear when I wasn't.
Okay, Jake, halfway home. Fuel looks good.
20 down, 20 to go.
17.67.
Not much happening. We stretched the gap out on the 3 just a little bit. It's up to about 3 seconds now. Feeling like I'm doing a little better job waiting on the throttle now. Lap times are going to fall off, but it's either not falling off and I'm actually picking up some time as compared to the last few laps simply because of being able to wait on the throttle now instead of getting too aggressive on it and having to lift. When you're running these momentum-based cars, the more time you spend on the throttle, once you pick it back up, it'll give you more speed. If you have to lift at all, it's kind of like a death wish. Cut this corner entry too shallow, so that's what sent me into the grass. Watch that lap time all up. 5 was catching the 3, but he's falling back. The gap to the 3 stabilized. It's sitting right around 3 seconds, although, yeah, it's right around 3 seconds or so. I was gonna say I was gaining time on him at turn 4, but I think he was getting into turn 3 at that point. Or in the center of turn 3 and 4. Just need to make sure I'm not cutting down quite so early. Got the 7 and the 9 up ahead. We'll have the 11 again in the not so distant future. Watch these 2 run side by side just to make sure I don't get involved in anything. Almost get into the 9. Try to go around him on the outside if I can.
The gap behind is now 3.7 seconds.
Clear the 9. I think he might have hit the brakes to let me by. Thank you to him. That'll make it a little bit easier to try to figure out how to get around the 7, although we're going to have the 11 to watch out for as well. Just follow the 7 down to the bottom and try to get by the 11.
Clear.
Keeping it lower. Guess this is a good lesson in learning how to watch lap traffic, predict where they're going, kind of figure out their lines so you can analyze where's the best way to go. And if you got a big enough lead like I do, a lot of times it's worth it to give some extra space, give up a little extra time to make sure you don't make any contact with them and take yourself out of the race. So when we get to the 10, I'll kind of talk my way through my thought process of getting around these guys, so we get something of value out of this race as well. And, you know, if you're watching the driving line, so I can see he's running a bit of a higher line. He's running right around the white line in 3 and 4, so I know that means he's not going to be shooting up to the top quite as quick. So if he's going to hold that line, it might actually be better for me to go to the top side and just watch that he doesn't come up. Keep going to the bottom. When I do that, I know I'm going to have to wait a little longer to pick up the throttle. As you can see, he almost cut down on us. I mean, I might have come up a little bit too, but if you're going to go to the bottom when somebody's running, you know, a couple of lanes up, you're going to have to wait to pick up the throttle so that way you don't shoot up the track and you're not making contact with them because they're not shooting up as fast as you would expect. Or the other option, if the top's viable, like I was thinking about, you can go to the top side and try to get a run off the corner and clear them that way. Probably would have been the smarter move for me to do to get around him, but I didn't think I was going to catch him quite as quick as I did that time in 3 and 4, so got just 6 to go. Like I said, it's been a pretty uneventful race, which I was in a way kind of hoping for, even though it's not as exciting for you guys, although I'm still just driving like an idiot in the wall. Thankfully no incident points, but need to just bring it out a little bit to avoid doing that. Just chalk it up to giving you a little bit of action to see. Not that's actually the reason. That's just me being a stupid driver. But we'll have just 4 to go. Like I said, even with a tougher field, it just, I don't know, it's a fun track in other series, just, I don't know, I think this track's too big for this car. But, like I said, if you can learn this and be consistently fast in tough strength of field, then you've really learned the momentum thing down well.
That last lap was a
and that'll translate to
17.71.
other series. And honestly, even if you're, starting an oval and you learn it and you're a road person, some of it can translate to road. I think it goes both ways. It's part of why I think my road racing is getting a little better, is I've been trying to learn momentum in oval series as well. But
Come right side.
it works both ways.
He's still there. Keep digging. Outside line's clear.
Able to clear the 6 again. Got the 2 coming up. We get the white flag. We're not going to get to anybody. I don't even think we're going to get to the 11, honestly. And if we do, I'll probably just lay back.
3.5 seconds. You've just done a 17.86.
And we're going to come off of turn 4, pick up the win. Let it exactly how I wanted to, although, like I said, anything less than that was going to be a massive disappointment. Wasn't going to be something I'd be very happy with. So
Great win.
hopefully we can just salvage some little bit of iRating gain, a little bit of safety rating gain, come away with something positive out of that. Hopefully you guys learned something about driving lines, as well as watching navigate lap traffic. Let's go take a look and see what happened quickly between the 2 and the 3 off the start. Because that's what I'm interested in. So I got a really good jump. 2's lined up on the outside. He was going to be at a disadvantage on most short tracks, although with the outside line being viable here, you could get the run, which you see he does. Clears the 3 with no problem at all. This is working across the line to finish lap 1. Gets into the grass. Maybe gets a little loose off the corner. Oh, no, he just looped it on his own. The 3 didn't really have anywhere to go. He just got the grass, and I think that kind of upset the car. It shot the car up the track a little bit, and he probably put a little more wheel into it. And as soon as he got on the banking, you can see it already starting to rotate a little bit more in relation to where he's coming off. And he probably just did the same thing that I've done in practice, where you get out and it just starts over rotating on you and it goes around. It's not very often it happens, but it does. The 3 actually looks like he might have had the same problem, so let's back up to the 3 and see what the 3 had, because he almost looked like he got a little loose coming out of the corner as well. We'll watch it come across the start-finish line. So he dives down to the bottom. He doesn't get the grass really, but yeah, you can see he gets into a slide too. And so what happened, I think the reason why I got into him, he didn't have a chance to really hit the brakes or cut it to the right to avoid him, because if you watch, you can see he's already in a 4-wheel slide too, and he's counter steering into it just to try to save himself. He sees the 2 wrecking, and then by the time he kind of gets it straightened out, the 2's already coming across his nose, and he just makes contact with them. So it's kind of a racing deal. I mean, obviously, the initial spin for the 2 was not anybody's fault other than the 2, and the 3 actually was in his own spin as well. They're kind of almost drifting in a sense in tandem, and the 3, by the time he saved it, had nowhere to go. So just a big racing deal. I thought the 3 might have gotten into the 2. I didn't see the gap between the 2 of them when I was looking in the rearview mirror, but yeah, that was just, it's kind of weird. That's I guess that's how like I said, if you don't get off the banking at the right way and kind of drive it more straight up, if you drive it at an angle, you're more prone to having that happen. So tough break for the 2. I don't know if he would have had anything for us, but it would have been nicer to have a couple cars, to possibly watch instead of pulling away like we did. But take a look at the results, though. I don't think there's a ton else to watch. Should hopefully be a little bit of a positive gain. Yeah, like I said, single split 1165. Really, really, really weak strength of field. Able to gain 0.09, so we're just over 2.58, or at 2.58. I think decent races the rest of, I think I have like one more oval race planned for week 11, and then decent ones in week 12. Should be able to get back over 3.0 to be ready for moving up to A license to start season 3. A small iRating game, which, like I said, when it's so weak, you can see car 2 was a 2100 coming into this, so when I was 600 over him, it was going to be tough to gain anything significant out of it. It was fortunately just caught a bad break with the strength of field, so not a big deal. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one for what it was worth and got something of value out of it. We ran the fastest lap by what, 8/10 or 800s roughly, so just again kind of the skill gaps out of it. So not a big deal. We'll take that and just call it good for this week. Not sure if I'll run an SK for next week or if I may look at running tour mods since they're at Concord. Actually, I think I might because I think SK's at the Las Vegas Legends Oval, so it'll be a quarter-mile track, which will finally be decent for racing. I'll have to practice in that one and see if I think that's going to be a contact crazy one and kind of see where my safety rating's at before I decide to run that. But there's a possibility you may run that, so hopefully you guys got something of value out of it. Sorry it wasn't a very exciting race from, running around people, but just, again, kind of the breaks of when I chose to run this one. So until the next one, I hope all your laps are fast, your races are clean, and your finishes are good. Thanks for watching.